Can you believe this is a battle between zombies and humans? Hello, dear fans. This is your favorite zombie channel, bringing you the first film in the zombie movie series. A group of young people planned to go to a small island for a rave party, but they missed the boat to the island because they were late. They then found a fishing boat and wanted to pay the captain, Kirk, to take them there. But when Kirk and his assistant Salish heard which island they wanted to go to, their expressions instantly changed drastically, and they immediately refused. It turns out that this island has always circulated a terrifying legend, called Island of Death by the locals, because there are dreadful ghosts on the island. But the young people clearly didn't believe it. They thought Kirk and Salish were making up lies to raise the price, so Simon directly offered $1,000. Unexpectedly, Kirk agreed after hearing it. It seems what they feared wasn't the ghost on the island, but the fear of not making money. However, just as the group was preparing to depart, two Coast Guards suddenly arrived at the dock for a routine inspection. Ignoring them, Kirk hastily steered the fishing boat away from the dock. It seemed there was something illegal on board that he feared the Coast Guards would find. Simon and the others, eager to reach the island quickly, naturally didn't pay it any mind. But what they didn't know at that moment was that this was a one-way death trip. Meanwhile, the rave party on the island had already begun. A couple left the party midway and came to a beach to enjoy some time alone. Johanna wanted to go for a swim, so she walked naked into the sea. Her boyfriend also excitedly prepared to follow, but the cold seawater instantly deterred him. He sat on the sand, unmoved no matter how Johanna called to him. But as she swam, Johanna faintly sensed that there seemed to be something in the water. Sensing danger, Johanna quickly swam back. Once ashore, she discovered her boyfriend was gone. She put on her clothes and walked into the jungle to search everywhere. Unexpectedly, pushing aside the branches before her, what came into view was an eerie, long-abandoned wooden house, with a large cemetery in front of it, sending chills down the spine even in broad daylight. But to find her boyfriend, Johanna mustered her courage and entered the house, yet inside was even more creepy and terrifying. The next second, the door inexplicably closed by itself, startling Johanna, but she still chose to go deeper. Her missing boyfriend was indeed there, but he looked very strange. Before Johanna could figure out what was happening, several terrifying monsters suddenly appeared around her. Soon, Simon and his group arrived at the small island, and the Coast Guards also caught up, docking on the other side of the island. After landing on the island via a hovercraft, Simon's group immediately headed towards the party location according to the map. Kirk and Salish didn't leave. They still had to take Simon's group back later. Kirk and Salish secretly moved a wooden crate onto the island. There was definitely something illicit inside. They also guessed the Coast Guards might follow them, so they planned to find a place to hide the stuff first. At night, Simon's group finally reached their destination. But to their surprise, the entire party site was in complete disarray, with not a soul in sight. What exactly was going on? Just as everyone was puzzled, Alicia suddenly found a blood-stained piece of clothing on the ground. She immediately had a bad feeling and prepared to go look for the others. Simon and Karma decided to go with her, while Cynthia and Greg stayed behind to wait. The moment they left, Cynthia and Greg couldn't wait to get into a tent, ready for an intimate moment. Unfortunately, at the critical moment, Greg suddenly felt the urge to pee and had to go to the bathroom first. Left alone in the tent, Cynthia soon heard noises outside. She thought it was Greg playing a prank, unaware that her life was now on a countdown. Meanwhile, Salish was following Kirk's instructions, hiding the goods from the crate in the jungle. Suddenly, he heard strange sounds in the jungle. Salish, already a firm believer in the ghost legend, instantly panicked. But before he could clearly see what the monster looked like, he was killed. Kirk, staying on the boat, wasn't safe either. The monsters could even swim underwater, approaching the fishing boat unseen from below, preparing to ambush Kirk. Fortunately, Kirk was very alert and took down a monster with a single shot. But unexpectedly, there was more than one monster. Immediately, more monsters began climbing onto the boat. Having seen many storms, Kirk isn't fazed at all, killing one after another. At this moment, Simon, Karma, and Alicia were still searching for people in the jungle, and also discovered that eerie wooden house. Unaware of the danger, they slowly approached it, and behind them, a terrifying figure was observing their every move. However, after entering the house, they didn't encounter monsters. Instead, they found 3 survivors from the party. Karma quickly asked what had happened. They didn't say much because the camera had recorded everything. At first, everyone was having fun, but then a group of monsters suddenly appeared. They were like zombies crawling out of the graves, launching a frenzied massacre at the party. Besides these 3 who survived by chance, everyone else died at the hands of the zombies. They had planned to escape by boat, but the boat was gone. Helplessly, they chose to hide in this wooden house. Even with the evidence before them, Alicia still finds it hard to believe. Could it be a show deliberately arranged by the party organizers? But Rudy, who had witnessed the tragedy firsthand, was very sure it was all real. Seeing their terrified state, it was obvious they weren't lying. So the group decided to immediately return to the party site, meet up with Cynthia and Greg, and leave together by boat. The group quickly returned to the party site, only to find Cynthia and Greg missing. A fallen portable toilet caught their attention. There seemed to be movement inside. They worked together to flip the toilet upright. After opening the toilet door, they were shocked to find Greg, covered in waste, trapped inside. It turned out Greg was using the toilet when some pervert started banging on the door frantically. Then the toilet was knocked over and he got trapped inside. Greg, reeking horribly, is furious, unaware that this incident saved his life. Coming to his senses, he then remembered his girlfriend. Everyone immediately started searching for Cynthia. But Cynthia, now a zombie, suddenly appeared and attacked an unsuspecting man. In the crisis, the Coast Guard Casper, who arrived just in time, saved everyone. Then, under everyone's astonished gaze, she fired again, killing Cynthia. Cynthia's terrifying appearance was exactly the same as the monsters that attacked the party. Feeling something was seriously wrong, Casper quickly called her teammate on the boat via walkie-talkie, but got no response. And because the island was remote, they couldn't contact the outside world by phone. Their only option now was to leave on that fishing boat. And Casper, who had originally intended to arrest Kirk, now could only prioritize everyone's safety. They immediately set off for the shore. But while crossing a wooden bridge, a zombie suddenly jumped out from under the bridge, grabbing Karma's leg tightly. Rudy was also scared and fell, a nail piercing through his palm. Seeing this, Casper decisively aimed her gun at the zombie and fired. Just after killing one zombie, another emerged from the water. Quick-eyed, Casper raised her gun again for a headshot. After running out of pistol ammo, she immediately switched to her rifle. After they helped rescue Rudy, no one had time to treat his wound and they quickly sped up their pace. However, when they reached the shore, they didn't see Kirk, only two zombies wandering on the boat. In the blink of an eye, Simon, wanting to swim to the boat, charged into the water. Everyone was too late to stop him. Simon saw the zombies on the boat as soon as he jumped in. He immediately turned back to swim, but zombies also jumped into the water and swam towards him. Casper fired covering shots from the shore, but zombies in the water were hard to hit. Simon got entangled by one. At the critical moment, a laser sight aimed at the zombie's head. It was the missing Kirk. With everyone's help, Simon finally escaped danger. However, the group on the shore was also attacked by zombies. Rudy and Karma successfully killed one zombie, but Kirk was bitten on the arm by a zombie sneaking up on him. He instantly shot it dead. To vent his anger, Simon, after getting ashore, cursed at the corpse. Unexpectedly, the zombie is still alive and spits a corrosive liquid in Simon's face. Casper immediately stepped forward and killed the zombie. But Simon's handsome face was already ruined. While they treated Kirk and Simon's wounds, Casper decided to go back to her own boat to use its communication equipment to call for help from headquarters. For safety's sake, she gave Greg a gun and asked him to come along. Once they successfully boarded the boat, she would sail over to pick everyone up. After Casper and Greg left, everyone started discussing where the zombies came from. Could it be some kind of mutation? Kirk didn't know either, but it seemed the Island of Death rumor was true. Under everyone's pressure, Kirk told the story of this island. A long time ago, a mad Spanish priest exiled here for committing serious crimes caused an accident during the exile. The mad priest killed the captain and crew and escaped. Later, to evade capture, he came to this island and enslaved all the residents. Everyone who tried to land on the island would die by his hand. The locals spoke of him with fear, and it said that even today, he is still on this island. Could all this be related to that priest? Meanwhile, Casper and Greg, unsurprisingly, encountered zombies again. While she was firing at full force to kill zombies, Greg chose to slip away. But unexpectedly, the zombies were very fast. Greg couldn't shake them off no matter what. Seeing death imminent, he quickly hid under a large tree, and the pursuing zombie didn't spot Greg. After the zombie left, Greg prepared to leave. But the next second, this time he wasn't so lucky. He was soon surrounded by zombies. Greg's fate was predictable. Seeing that Casper and Greg hadn't returned, the group waiting in place started to worry. What if something happened to them? Or what if they just left and didn't come back? They had no weapons, no food. If zombies attacked, they could only wait to die. Seeing everyone panicked, Kirk revealed they actually had weapons, then led everyone to that wooden crate. Opening it, they found it was Cuban cigars. They thought Kirk was smuggling cigars, unaware that what he sold was far worse. Just then, Casper returned and gave them bad news. They encountered zombies on the way. Greg's fate was unknown. Their patrol boat was destroyed by zombies, and the teammate on board was missing. At this point, Kirk couldn't care less. It turned out the cigars were just a cover. What he was really smuggling were the weapons hidden underneath. Casper didn't say much. After all, in this situation, survival was key, and these weapons were a godsend. Casper urged everyone to quickly arm themselves. This place wasn't safe. They needed to find a secure location to hold out until rescue arrived. The police station, unable to contact them, would surely send people to look for them, and the only place on the whole island that could withstand zombie attacks was that wooden house, so they decided to head there. After everyone chose their weapons, the fully armed squad immediately headed for the house. But to their surprise, the area outside the house was filled with zombies, and worse, a group of zombies suddenly appeared behind them and charged. There was no turning back now. Everyone could only choose to fight the zombies to the death. Indeed, all fear stems from insufficient firepower. The group, now armed, instantly transformed, fighting more bravely under the zombie siege, each displaying incredible combat prowess, with all sorts of flashy moves emerging, instantly overwhelming the zombies. Facing these overwhelmingly powerful humans, it should be the zombies who need to run away. Karma, wielding a shotgun, is like a god descending, killing one zombie after another with clean shots. The zombies don't lag behind either, sending a general to fight Karma. The zombie leaps into the air, does a 360-degree spin, and throws an axe at Karma. Seeing this, Karma simply jumped straight up, firing a shotgun blast at the zombie midair. Ultimately, Karma was more skilled, hitting the zombie precisely and killing it. They fought their way through and finally reached the house door. Unfortunately, the front door was locked. Forcing it open would break it, rendering it useless as zombies could just walk in. So they had to look for another entrance. Meanwhile, the number of zombies was still increasing, forcing the group into another fierce battle. But this time it wasn't so easy. Liberty, who was just slaughtering everything moments ago, was instantly overwhelmed by the zombie horde. The others, fighting for their own lives, couldn't help her as their ammunition was running low. Amidst the chaos, Casper saw her mutated teammate and tearfully ended his suffering, but she was also caught off guard and tackled by a zombie. At the critical moment, Rudy fired and saved her. Under the zombie onslaught, they got separated from the main group. Luckily, Rudy found an entrance. Unluckily, Casper ran out of bullets, and with several zombies closing in, Casper was attacked by the pouncing zombies before she could crawl inside. Although Rudy tries his best to pull Casper inside, she loses both legs and dies from blood loss minutes later. Meanwhile, the others were also in dire straits. Their bullets were completely gone, and they no longer had that god-slaying momentum. Only Kirk pulled out a machete, struggling to fend off the zombie attacks. But he didn't last long either. He fell and was pinned down by zombies, savagely torn at. Fortunately, Rudy opened the door from inside just in time, and they pulled Kirk in together. After closing the door, they were temporarily safe. Rudy and Alicia hurriedly treated Kirk's wounds. Having lost 2 teammates instantly, everyone's spirits were low. With his handsome face ruined, Simon even feels like dying. What's the point of surviving? But Karma, who had always had a secret crush on Simon, not only didn't dislike him, but also took the opportunity to confess her feelings. They officially confirmed their relationship right then and there. At that moment, Rudy and Alicia saw something bizarre. The zombies outside were handling the corpses on the ground. Although they didn't know what they were up to, definitely wasn't anything good. Everyone started organizing their weapons and prepared to fight at any moment. Fortunately, Rudy still had some ammo left in his backpack, but this little ammo was clearly a drop in the bucket. Alicia accidentally discovered a logbook recording how the priest killed Kirk and escaped. It seemed the legend was indeed true. Later, to prevent a zombie ambush, they searched the house for a defensible hiding spot. After some searching, they finally found a room filled with countless corpses, severed limbs, and various experimental equipment. It looked like a laboratory. Clearly, these were all the handiwork of the priest. The zombies were also his creation. Kirk, left alone, suddenly heard Salish's voice. He dragged his injured body to open the door and check, finding it was indeed Salish, now a zombie. Kirk raised his gun and killed Salish. Hearing the gunshot, Rudy rushed over, and the surrounding zombies were also attracted, but Kirk showed no intention of going back inside. He pulled out a stick of dynamite, planning to take the zombies down with him. He found release, but instead exposed the others to danger. The huge explosion destroyed the main door. Zombies rushed in, forcing everyone to flee to the backyard and close the door to hold them off. Then Alicia spotted several gunpowder barrels. Blowing them up could destroy most of the zombies. Unfortunately, there was no fuse. They could only return to the lab to see if they could find a fuse. But then they noticed something wriggling in the red liquid inside a glass tank. Looking closely, they were nearly scared to death. It was a wriggling zombie head. Karma instinctively pulled the trigger. The red liquid inside the tank flowed out. The moment it touched the liquid, a corpse immediately mutated into a zombie. It seemed the red liquid was the key to reviving the dead. Everyone immediately ran for their lives, returning to the backyard and closing the door, once again blocking the zombies inside. Just as the zombie horde was about to break down the door. At the critical moment, Karma discovered a secret passage. They immediately hid inside. But Simon, behind them, was grabbed by zombies, knowing he couldn't escape. And after his companions were safely away, Simon simply fired his gun at the nearby gunpowder barrel, detonating it. However, the passage wasn't safe either. Zombies emerged intermittently, blending in with the moss-covered walls. Before they knew it, Alicia, Rudy, and Karma were completely surrounded. To cover Alicia and Rudy's escape, Karma decisively stepped forward. But without weapons, Karma's combat power plummeted. She was instantly tackled by zombies. Just as Alicia and Rudy were at a loss, a man in a black cloak suddenly appeared, killing one zombie. Although they couldn't see his face, his build and outline clearly resembled Greg. The mysterious man signaled for Alicia and Rudy to follow him. Without much thought, they followed. Led by him, they arrived at a more hidden chamber, also filled with skeletons and corpses. The man under the cloak was indeed Greg, but he seemed off. He remained silent in response to Alicia's questions. Only when Rudy noticed the hanging corpse was a zombie did they realize this wasn't Greg. But zombies had already surrounded them. Unbelievably, the zombies could even disguise themselves, and this was none other than the mad priest Castillo. Alicia and Rudy were captured immediately. Under Castillo's command, several zombies pinned Rudy to a table, preparing to remove his organs for their own use. Then, Castillo began to recount his own story. Years ago, he was obsessed with finding immortality, secretly conducting various human experiments. Unexpectedly, it was soon exposed, leading to his exile. En route, he found a chance to escape and hid on this island to continue his perverse experiments. The island's residents became his lab rats. Finally, after years of effort, his experiments had a breakthrough. He successfully developed a serum that could make blood cells multiply endlessly. The red liquid in the tank. But this method had a fatal flaw. The revived became rotting zombies, so Castillo modified it further. By constantly replacing organs, he finally achieved immortality. Now he desperately needed new organs, and Rudy and Alicia were perfect replacements. Learning he was about to become spare parts, Rudy erupted with strength, breaking free. Alicia also seized the chance to grab a sword and counterattacked, stabbing Castillo fiercely. Alicia and Rudy immediately ran outside. Along the way, Rudy accidentally found a grenade on a corpse. While escaping, he pulled the pin and threw it. But just as Alicia and Rudy were celebrating their narrow escape, the resilient Castillo walked out from the explosion. The final battle ensued immediately, but they were no match for Castillo. Rudy was knocked down first, and Alicia was stabbed in the chest by a sword. Seeing this, Rudy exploded with rage. While Castillo was distracted, he picked up an axe from the ground and instantly chopped off his head. But to his shock, even headless, Castillo remained vigorous, instantly grabbing Rudy's throat. Even more surprisingly, Alicia was still alive. Perhaps the wound wasn't too deep. She could even stand up. Alicia intended to destroy Castillo's head, to see if it would kill him completely. She stomped hard on the head on the ground. As Castillo's head shattered into pieces, his body instantly lost all movement and collapsed. Now he was finally dead, and Alicia also couldn't hold on any longer, and collapsed. Only after the crisis was over did the rescue helicopter arrive belatedly. In the end, only Alicia and Rudy were successfully rescued. After watching this zombie movie, I have to say, the Razzie Lifetime Achievement Award is truly well-deserved. A plot with no logic to speak of, inexplicable camera work, the protagonists instantly become combat gods, once armed, then turn into low IQ weaklings. When ammo runs out, the zombie fight scenes are overly lengthy and tedious, and everyone gets silly slow-motion shots and close-ups. Throughout, there are also quite a few distracting game footage inserts, making it utterly cringe-worthy. Alright, that's the end of today's video. Thank you for watching, dear fans. See you all in the next episode.